Aristotle's Philosophy of Aesthetics by John Vespasian. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC, presented his theory of aesthetics in his work Poetics, which is primarily devoted to literature and theater. For defining art, Aristotle employed the Greek word mimesis, which means imitation. Every form of art involves an imitation of reality according to the artist's standpoint. The artistic imitation of reality can be more or less accurate, but needs to be recognizable. A random shape on a canvas or a meaningless poem do not constitute art because they have nothing to do with reality. Art can be produced for various types of physical support. In Aristotle's times, the main types of art were the performing arts, poetry and theater, and the objectified arts, architecture, painting, and sculpture. In later centuries, art has been produced for other physical supports such as books, novels and short stories, movies and television shows, music, opera, ballet, etc. Artistic perception is limited to the human senses, vision, sound, touch, smell, and taste, but new physical supports can enrich the experience. Although movies and theater plays are perceived exactly by the same senses, nobody would contest that movies can offer a richer experience. Unity of plot in Aristotle's Philosophy of Aesthetics. Poetics revolves around theater plays that possess a linear structure, a single purpose, and tight temporal unity. Aristotle regarded such theater plays as artistic archetypes. Aristotle's preference for a strong unity of plot, for instance, stories taking place in a single location and within 24 hours, makes theater plays comprehensible and cohesive. Unity of plot is the application of Aristotle's final causation to literature, in the same way as happiness is the application of final causation to ethics. In plays, novels, movies, and television shows, we all prefer tightly knit stories. We want to read or watch narratives where the events are linked by cause and effect, not by serendipity. Aristotle's artistic formula has remained valid for centuries. It has widened only when technology rendered it possible to use new physical supports. The invention of the printing press enabled the publication of novels, and the invention of moving pictures enabled the production of feature movies. Nonetheless, Aristotle's essential insight has remained true, namely, that well-structured stories, songs, paintings, buildings, and sculptures will generate a deeper emotional response. It is the artist's task to create a structure that reflects his standpoint. Catharsis in Aristotle's Philosophy of Aesthetics. In Poetics, Aristotle argues that artworks, theater plays in particular, can have a therapeutic effect. He calls this healing effect catharsis, or emotional purification. From watching a heroic tragedy on stage, the audience can gain motivation and strength to overcome problems in real life. Artistic enjoyment, argued Aristotle, comes from watching noble, motivated characters who struggle to achieve their goals and who end up victorious despite opposition and setbacks. The characters and the plot constitute the backbone of every literary work, theater, novels, and movies. Style, music, acting, and settings contribute to the overall effect, but should not take the driving seat in artistic creation. For instance, the plot of Oedipus Rex by Sophocles, 496 to 405 BC, is driven by Oedipus' tragic journey. The unity of plot is very strict. The audience will experience a strong emotional reaction from watching Oedipus undergo a transformation. Oedipus' adventures, peripetia, and reversal of fortune make the plot intriguing. He has a noble character, but his poor self-awareness will end up causing his downfall. His tragedy has a cathartic effect and elicits a strong emotional response. In Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, 1821 to 1881, the protagonist, Raskolnikov, is also a tragic hero, but ends up acknowledging his crime and seeking redemption. The cathartic effect fits the Aristotelian model for literary artworks. Aristotle's Philosophy of Aesthetics in Poetry and Sculpture. The field of poetry makes it difficult to achieve unity of plot unless a poem tells a complete story. Aristotle expected poems to elicit an emotional response through their structure, choice of words, and literary devices such as metaphors. For instance, the poem I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth 1770 to 1850, depicts a moment in nature by using imagery that creates melancholic, romantic feelings. In the field of sculpture, the Aristotelian mimesis involves the imitation of three-dimensional shapes. The aesthetic impact depends on a harmonious and purposeful implementation. David, by Michelangelo Buonarroti, 1475 to 1564, provides a good illustration of Aristotle's aesthetic principles in the field of sculpture because it combines a precise physical rendition with a serenity and determination. Aristotle's philosophy of aesthetics in architecture and music. In the field of architecture, Aristotelian principles call for structures possessing unity of purpose, form, and function, such as the Parthenon in Athens. Its profound harmony comes from well-proportioned Doric columns, friezes, and pediments. In the area of music, the Symphony No. 9 by Beethoven, 1770 to 1827, with the Ode to Joy in its final movement gives a powerful example of Aristotle's principles. Its aesthetic unity is the result of its harmonious melody and orchestration. Aristotle's principles of aesthetics are immutable because of their connection to human nature. They correspond to our five senses and the way in which process information. They mirror natural ethical convictions and the desire to achieve happiness. If you are interested in applying Aristotelian philosophy to everyday life, I recommend you my book, The 10 Principles of Rational Living. For more information, go to johnvespasian.com.